Here are the 45 pieces of makeup, or most of them actually, because I don't have packaging for a couple of them. But anyway, these are the 45 pieces of makeup that I finished off in 2024. And I'm going to talk you through every single item, my thoughts on them, would I repurchase them, would I recommend them, just so you can see each individual item that I have finished off. I finished off 5 primers in 2024. 3 are the same primers. They are the Bobbi Brown face bases. Now, because I had so many primers at the start of the year and I wanted to use up all 5 of these actually, I didn't actually use most of them as makeup primers. I don't often wear a primer, so if I was to do that for all 5 of these, I probably would have only used up 2 maximum last year. So the Bobbi Brown face base you can also use as a moisturiser, so that's what I did, both morning and evening. The scent is gorgeous. I love the scent of these face bases, and they're quite a hydrating moisturiser. You don't get a lot of time to massage these in though. After using 3 of those that way though, I don't think I would use these again as a moisturiser. I think I wanted something a bit more basic after using these, because these are quite indulgent. They after a while can feel a bit heavy using them as both a morning and evening moisturiser. I think they're fine every now and again, but in my opinion these work better as a primer than a moisturiser. I still love these, they are beautiful, would recommend, would buy them again in the future though, but only as a primer. I then used up a dupe for it, the Revolution Super Base. I did do a wear test between these two. The Revolution one performs in a very, very similar way to the Bobbi Brown one, but it doesn't have the scent that the Bobbi Brown one does. It's still a really nice product though, and if you like the face bases, you might like this one because this is a fraction of the price, but if you love the scent, then you won't get that from the Revolution one. I then also used up the Merit Great Skin Instant Glow Serum. This one I did try initially as a primer. Really beautiful hydrating primer, makeup applied beautifully over the top of it. It was a great primer, but I did use this one up as a serum and I loved this. I think this is my favourite hydrating serum. Really easy to use. It's an oil and liquid hybrid product, so you do have to give it a good shake to mix the 2 layers together. 2 pumps of this for my face and neck. Beautiful hydrating serum, not sticky or tacky or heavy at all, sunk in really nicely. I really loved using that. I would definitely buy that one again. Foundations next. I did use up 3, but I've only got the packaging for 2 of them here. I did also use up the L'Oreal True Match Plumping Tinted Serum Foundation, but when I was trying to get out every last bit of product from that tube, I then tried to clean the bottle afterwards and it was so incredibly messy, so I did just throw that away. But I did finish it off. Pretty sure I finished it off as part of my Project Pam. That was really nice. It was very lightweight, very hydrating, a nice glowy radiant effect. The shades were a bit iffy though. I think the shade that I got was slightly too dark for me, but if I was to go down to the next one down, that was cool toned, so I think they need to expand their shades a little bit, and then I would repurchase because I did really like that one. These 2 here, this one I finished off first this year. This was the Arborian CC cream. It's a 15ml tube, I think, yeah, 15ml, in the shade Claire. Cut it open, scraped it all out. This is beautiful. I really like the Arborian CC and BB creams because they give such a radiant effect to your skin. Great level of coverage without feeling heavy or really cakey. The only downside is the shades. You don't get many shades for these. I'm lucky with this because Claire suits me really well, but I know for a lot of people you won't be able to find your perfect match, so that's a shame because it is an excellent product. And I then used up the Giorgio Armani Power Fabric Plus Ultra Long Wear Weightless Matte Foundation. This was a small 5ml sample. This was in the shade 3, which was too dark for me. I can't recall now how I finished it off, whether I finished it off mixing it in with another foundation or with a moisturiser. I can't recall, but the foundation itself is a nice foundation, it's just the shade was all wrong. I wouldn't repurchase it though, because I don't want to be buying foundations in the future. I want to stick to skin tints. I finished off 2 correctors. These are both by the same brand, both in the same shade. They are both the Bobbi Brown Under Eye Correctors in the shades Light Bisque. This one is the pot one, which I have used multiple times before in the past, and I really like this. The shade is brilliant for me, first of all, but the texture of this is lovely. It's really creamy, Lovely to blend in, it's hydrating and it doesn't cling to any dryness or any texture under my eyes at all. It's really lovely. But I wanted to try the stick one because this was a newish product by the time I bought it, and it's just like a twist up cream stick concealer, like I say, in the same shade, but this one I felt didn't give as much coverage, and it was also more drying. So out of the two, I would definitely stick to the pot one. I do have a corrector at the moment that's in my project pan, and I much prefer the Bobbi Brown one. Once that one's used up, I will go back to this Bobbi Brown one. I used up my only concealer in my collection this year. This has been the only concealer that I've had in 2024. It's by Vive. It's the Modern Radiance Concealer in the shade Light 3. I did take out the stopper a few months ago, and there has been a lot of product left in this, so it has taken a long time to use up. I did start using this as an all-over face product, like a foundation, mixed into a bit of moisturiser as well sometimes, and I have now scraped out all product that I can in here. It's a lovely concealer. It's quite kind of creamy, mousse-like, hydrating, decent amount of coverage as well, quite kind of easy to work with and easy to blend out. I would buy this again because I did really like it, but I would like to try some other concealers first before I do that. I finished off 3 of my favourite setting sprays. These are the Urban Decay All Nighter setting sprays. They're clearly my favourite because I've got 3 of them. These are my go-to setting sprays because I just think they're really good at setting my makeup, keeping it in place for a good chunk of the day. Nice sort of spray as well. It's not a fine mist, but it's a decent spray. It doesn't come out as like a jet. It doesn't drench part of your face and not enough on other parts of your face. It is a nice even spray of product. Really liked these. As you can tell, I've bought lots in the past. I will continue to buy these. I think they're just brilliant setting sprays. I've also used up 2 powders. Firstly was a mini of the Givenchy Prisma Libre powder in the shade Satin Blanc, number 2. I wanted to buy a mini because I didn't want to commit to a full-size product and potentially not like it, and then have a full-size product that I need to use up, and something like a powder, it takes a long time. But I'm kind of regretting not buying the full-size version because I did really like it, and they have reformulated. I don't know if they've taken it back to its original. I hope they have. So in this you get 4 different colours, and you've got little holes here that you tap out into your lid. It's a really beautiful, finely milled powder. Great for setting my under eyes, great for setting my T-zone. Quite radiant but not shiny, but not heavy or chalky as well. It's just an excellent powder, and I liked the shade as well, Satin Blanc. Lots of people really liked number 3, which I think was a bit pinkier, but I liked number 2. I would definitely repurchase this. When I use up the powder that I have at the moment, I would go back to this one as long as they stuck to the original formulation. And then I used up a mini Hourglass ambient lighting powder in the shade Diffuse Light, which I would not repurchase because I feel like it didn't really do anything to my routine. I've used this as a finishing powder under my eyes and along my jawline, and also as a highlighter, and I cannot tell the difference either way. So I would not buy this again, and I'm glad that I only bought this in the mini size. Right, moving on to cheek products now. I used up 2 bronzers. Firstly, the Revolution Ultra Cream Bronzer in the shade Light. This is a gorgeous cream bronzer. So easy to use. It's really buttery, blends out beautifully. It doesn't disrupt your foundation or any other makeup you have on underneath it. The shade was lovely as well. It wasn't muddy or orange. This was just really easy to use. The only problem with this though is because it's a cream, it does tend to get quite messy, so you do have to clean it up fairly regularly, but a beautiful bronzer. I've heard this is a great dupe for the Chanel one, which I've not tried, so I can't comment on, but if you love the Chanel one, but you don't love the price, this might be a good option to try perhaps. But really liked that. And I then used up the Vive powder. This is in the shade Light, so you have Light 1 and Light 2. Now, I clearly haven't used up Light 2, but when I've spoken about this in previous videos in 2024, I said that I only want to finish off Light 1. Both of these shades were too dark and too orange for me. I did try wearing both of those as well as eyeshadows, but they didn't quite work. Light 1 I could get away with as a bronzer, but Light 2 doesn't work as a bronzer, doesn't work as an eyeshadow on me at all. It's just too dark and too muddy and too heavy. So I said as soon as I've used up Light 1, I will say that this palette has been finished. I did that, so I am going to class this as an empty product. I wouldn't repurchase this because This is the lightest shades that you can buy, and I find them too dark still. I think they need to come up with a fair version, and that should be better for me. I finished off one contour product. This is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand Contour in the shade Fair Light. This is a really easy contour product to use. You untwist it and it's a sponge, and you can squeeze out however much you need to. So it's really easy to use. It's fairly sheer as well, so you can build it up pretty easily. But for me, I don't really like using contour. I don't feel like I saw much difference when I used it. And contour is not something that I want to have in my collection, so I wouldn't repurchase this. But I think if you want an easy to use, beginner friendly contour, this is a pretty good one to go for, and it's e.l.f. so it's decently priced. Blushes, I used up 2 this year. Firstly, let's talk about this Vive Sunset Blush Balm. I scraped it out. I always try to do this with these types of packaging. This is a 15ml tube, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you don't need a lot of product, so actually this lasts for a decent amount of time. I got this in the shade Pesca, and I like that the shade matches the packaging, so you know what shade it is if you were to buy multiples. And Pesca is a really beautiful, soft, warm peach apricot shade. It's really lovely for a year-round shade for me, but also great for spring and summer months as well if you like to go for more peachy tones then. And really easy to use as well, really easy to build up. It's fairly lightweight, easy to blend out as well. It doesn't disrupt any other makeup that you wear with it. Just a really lovely, easy product. And then I used up one of the Rare Beauty Melting Blush Balms in the shade Nearly Apricot, slightly darker than the Vive one. And these two I did end up wearing together, and they mixed really nicely together. The packaging of this always reminds me of Polly Pockets. It just feels really kind of cute. Got a little mirror there as well for application, and I much prefer these cream blushes from Rare Beauty to the liquid ones. I find them so much easier to work with. This is a really lovely hydrating cream blusher. It doesn't go patchy, it's not stiff or stubborn to blend out, blends out really nicely. Again, like with the Revolution cream bronzer, this blusher doesn't disrupt any other makeup that you wear with it as well, so very easy to work with. Really liked that. I would repurchase. I used up 2 highlighters as well. Firstly, the Vive Skin Dew XL. I don't need an XL version. I don't think many people need an XL version unless you are a makeup artist and you're going to use this on lots and lots of people. This is a 60ml tube. I think the original size, which is about 30ml, I think that would be more than enough for your everyday makeup needs. Didn't like the lid. I don't like lids like this. I find them really tricky, really fiddly to get on or off. Lovely colour though, a nice light warm gold, really natural colour on me. Really easy to use as well, as it's a liquid. You can just kind of take your finger, blend some into the back of your hand to get rid of excess, and then dab it on to your face. Where this was so big though, I did end up using it up, mixing it in with body lotion, and it gave a nice shimmer to body lotion, so that works really well as well. I would rebuy this. It's a lovely liquid highlighter. I much prefer liquid and cream highlighters to powder ones, but there are some other highlighters that I would like to try first. And then I have a cream stick highlighter here from Merit. It's the Day Glow in the shade Citrine, and I did scrape out what was left, which wasn't much, which is good, because sometimes when you get to the level point, you can have a lot of product in here, but with this one you didn't. This one I started off the year not liking. I found it really greasy. But the way that I found this works is if I put on some cream blusher, don't blend it out, but put on some of this over the top and then blend them both out together, that makes this highlighter look really nice because it just adds some sheen and some iridescence to my blusher. So that's how I liked to use this one, rather than just swiping it onto your face and blending it out like a highlighter. Now because of that, I wouldn't buy this one again, but I liked the shade. Now the makeup item that I'm probably the most happy about finishing off last year is this face palette by Vive. It's in the shade Dawn. It was limited edition, so unfortunately you can't get it anymore. You have a nice big mirror and 4 shades in here, 1 highlighter, 1 bronzer, 2 blushes. I used up all 4, although I think I used up the highlighter in 2023. Beautiful, beautiful shades, light, warm shades. A light warm gold highlighter, a light warm bronzer, which wasn't orangey at all. I much preferred the bronzer in here compared to the bronzers in here. This one was way nicer. The blushes, a light warm pink, and then a light warm peach, but not as peachy as the Pesca one. These worked beautifully all together, but they also worked beautifully for my complexion and my skin tone as well. And these powders that Vive do are just so easy to work with because they're buttery, they're buildable, they're easy to blend out, they don't go patchy, they don't cling to any texture. This was a gorgeous face palette. If they were to bring this back, I would buy this again. Lovely, lovely to work with. Okay, moving on to eye makeup now. There's not much, but that doesn't surprise me because I did do an eye makeup declutter, or lots of eye makeup declutters this year. Firstly, 2 eyeliners. This one is by Kiko, and I think it's in the shade 4 or 10. It might be 4 actually, because I can see a 4 there. It's a dark brown. Slightly too dark for me though. I would much prefer more medium, mid-toned, warm brown. Nice creamy texture though, really lovely to use. And it comes with a smudger, so you can smudge out your eyeliner for a bit more of a lived-in effect. I would buy the Kiko eyeliners again because they're nice and creamy, they're really easy to use, and they're a good price point, but not this shade. I would like a lighter, warm brown. And then this is one of the Peaches and Cream eyeliners, and Peaches and Cream are fantastic eyeliners. They are creamy but long lasting, really pigmented, beautiful selection of colours as well. This was Papyrus, which I used in my waterline. Nice and easy to brighten up my eyes. Really loved that. I would recommend Peaches and Cream for eyeliners, but I liked both of those. Would repurchase both of those. That one in that shade as well. I think that's a nice brightening shade, but a lighter, warmer brown. One brow product. This is by Merit. This is the 1980 Brow in the shade Blonde. The handle is huge. I thought it would be the other way around, like a mascara, but no. This is a really small brush, so it's nice to be precise and detailed with it. It's not a thick brush like a mascara wand would be. The shade is really nice. Despite it being blonde, it's a dark blonde. So I'm a blonde, but I have dark eyebrows, and this was a really good match for me. I liked how easy this was to use, how controlled you can be about it. Didn't deposit loads of pigment. It's really easy to build up. So I would repurchase this. This is one of my favourite tinted brow gels that I've tried. I have 3 mascaras here. Firstly, the Bobbi Brown Smoky Eye Mascara. This is in the shade Black. It doesn't come in brown, unfortunately. If it did, I might buy it again, but it's not tubing, so it does smudge. But I really liked the effect of this mascara. It's quite a, I was going to say heavy, but that implies that it's going to weigh your lashes down. I don't mean heavy from a weight point of view, I just mean from a defined, smoky, dramatic point of view, but still great for everyday wear rather. So I really liked this one for how it made my lashes look, but I didn't like that it wasn't tubing, and I didn't like that it only came in black. Another black mascara is by Merit. This is tubing, so this one didn't smudge, and I liked that. A bit more of an everyday kind of look with this mascara, but you could still build it up, so that was quite nice. I've said this before, but I don't know why Merit don't offer this in a brown mascara. Merit makeup is all about enhancing your natural features. It's very much a natural, radiant, everyday, easy makeup look, and I feel like brown would just fit in much better with their ethos and what they're trying to achieve with their products. But anyway, for now it's a black. I liked it. If it was brown, I would repurchase. This is a brown one, but it's quite a dark brown. It's very difficult to find brown mascaras that are properly brown rather than like brown black or dark brown, and then it kind of ends up looking like black. This is from Yves Saint Laurent, and this is the Lash Clash mascara. An expensive mascara. Oh, can I open it? But I would repurchase this one again, but I would have to remember that after sort of 3 months of using it, that's when it gets, oh God, to be a much better mascara. When you first use it, this is really wet, and I know mascaras are like that anyway. You do have to give mascaras time to dry down, but this one just felt like it took ages to dry down. Once it did though, it was a lovely mascara, really quite dramatic, easy to build up, and I'm pretty sure it was tubing as well, so it didn't smudge, so I did really like that one. And then lip products. I've got 3 lip liners here. This one, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to open these because the lids are nearly, there we go, the lids are longer than the actual pencil. This one is Jane Airedale in the shade Spice, and I bought this one when I was still dressing myself as an autumn, because Emma Watson is a true autumn apparently, and this is her go-to lip product. So I thought, well, if it suits her, it will suit me. It didn't, but turns out I'm a true spring. This, like I say, is in the shade Spice, and it's a muted sort of everyday pinky brown colour. A really sort of like safe option to go for. Can be worn with lots of different lip products, so a great sort of lip pencil to go with lots of other products in your collection. I liked the formulation of this. It was a fairly creamy lip liner, although I have tried creamier, but I wouldn't buy that shade again. And it was kind of quite expensive for what it is, to be honest. I would prefer to get one of these, which is the NYX lip liners. This is in the shade Natural, a similar colour to Spice, but Spice is probably a little bit more rusty in comparison to NYX. The Natural one from NYX is more of that true warm brown pink shade. Again, a really versatile shade and a creamier formulation, but also great staying power. And then this is a House of Colour one in the shade Maple, which was my most worn lip liner from House of Colour. A warm orangey brown shade. So again, like these two, quite versatile shades to have. They do go with a lot of other lip products that I had in my collection, and these are really lovely formulations. They are creamy, but again they have great staying power. They don't dry, they don't tug on your lips. A really decent lip pencil. I did finish up 2 lip balms, but I only had the packaging for one, both by Rhode. The other one is in the shade Toast, which is more of a sort of muted pink. This one is more of a brighter bubblegum pink. Both lovely shades and both really nice to wear on their own, but maybe over the top of a lipstick, a lip liner. So again, quite kind of versatile shades. I like with these that they're not messy. You just twist the lid and then you squeeze it up and you apply it straight from the tube itself. So they're great for on the go. I liked these, but I think that you can get lots of similar products from other brands. And when I bought these, I think the P&P from Rhode was quite expensive, so I would prefer to try similar products from other brands that are cheaper and easier to get hold of. But that's not to say that these weren't nice, because they were. I have 4 lip glosses that I finished off. Firstly, it's one of these Kiko ones. I had 3 of these at one point, and I've now used up all of them. This was the clear version. These are the 3D Hydra lip glosses that my friend recommended that I tried, and I'm glad that she did because they are lovely. Excellent lip glosses. They're very thin and lightweight, hydrating, but they're not really sticky or tacky. Like if you were to move about, your hair wouldn't get stuck in this like lots of other lip glosses would. And the clear version is just really handy to either wear on its own or to add a bit of gloss to another lip product that you've got on. And I really liked these. I took the stopper out as well. I would buy these again, and you can get so many different shades of these as well, which is really quite handy. I also used up one of the Merit lip oils, I think they're called, a tinted lip oil, that's it, shade Slick, in the shade Au Naturel. I also took the stopper out and scraped out as much as I can. This is a warm, everyday, orangey brown nude shade, so it's a warm nude shade. Lovely to wear on its own for a bit of tint in there, and I was happy with the amount of tint that you get in these, because sometimes they're not that tinted, but this one was. And again, nice to wear over the top of lipsticks or lip liners. I would buy those again. I got this Bobbi Brown crushed oil infused gloss in the shade In the Buff. This was part of a set, so I wasn't in control of the shade of this. It's a beautiful lip gloss. It's really hydrating, really thin, not sticky or tacky, so kind of similar texture to the Kiko one. This one, I wouldn't buy this shade again. This shade was a little bit too cool toned. It's like a neutral pink, so it's kind of a fail-safe colour to put in sets. But for me, I would prefer something a lot warmer, but I liked the formulation. And then this is a House of Colour lip gloss, and I, despite decluttering the rest of mine actually, I really like the House of Colour lip glosses. They are more traditionally lip glossy than say the Kiko ones and the Bobbi Brown ones, but what I love about these is the shades. The shade that you see in the tube you get on your lips. They are very pigmented, and I really like that about these. This one was 66, which I think is something like apricot or peach, a really great everyday warm peachy shade. This was for autumns, but I think it's also coded for springs as well, and it's a lovely shade. I would buy this one again in this shade. I used it up, so I clearly liked it, and it's just a great go-to lip gloss shade for me. I really enjoyed using that. I finished up one liquid lipstick. This is by House of Colour in the shade 110 Nearly Nude, and I think I also, yes, I got the stopper out of that as well. I didn't really finish this up as a liquid lipstick because I did find it a little bit drying on my lips, but it is very thin though, so out of other liquid lipsticks that I've tried, this is probably the best one, but it's just that I prefer something a bit more glossy and hydrating. So I did end up using this as a liquid blusher, and it worked so well as a liquid blusher. Just drew it on my face like I would do with a liquid lipstick, blended it out, and it looked really lovely. A really natural, muted nude, warm, brown pink shade. It didn't disrupt any makeup that I had on underneath it as well. Really easy to use, so I would recommend these as a liquid blusher. Not a liquid lipstick, but I don't think I would buy this again. And then lastly, I finished off 5 lipsticks. I don't have the 5th one here, and I'm not too sure whether to include that as an empty or not. It's the Merit Carbo lipstick, which I didn't technically finish off until completion. I put some on the last time that I wore it, and I put it on in the bathroom over the sink with the mirror by the sink so I could obviously see what I was doing. And as I was putting it on, it felt really wobbly, so I checked it and it fell out and it nearly fell down the plug hole. So I have since thrown that away. So I didn't use it up until there was nothing left to use up. I used up as much as I could until I couldn't use any more. So I'm never too sure, or I haven't been too sure really, whether to include that in my Makeup Empties or not. If I'm not including it, I've used up 44 items this year, or in 2024, but if I am including it, I've used up 45. So anyway, that's the Merit one. I've used up another bullet lipstick by House of Colour in the shade Autumn Nude. This was my go-to autumn lipstick that I wore when I was styling myself as an autumn, because it's a fantastic everyday colour. If you don't want to go for a red or a coral or a rust, you just want a nude everyday lipstick that's not really going to stand out but is going to provide obviously some pigment to your lips, this was a great one. This was a muted warm brown pink, excellent colour, loved wearing that one a lot. It was like my go-to lipstick, and the quality of House of Colour makeup from what I've tried I really like. I think it is pretty decent quality. Creamy lipsticks, they don't have the best staying power though. I have tried lipsticks that have stayed for longer, but that hasn't really bothered me. It's not like I've put this on and then 10 minutes later it's disappeared. It's just that it hasn't lasted hours like other lipsticks I've tried have. But they're comfortable, really comfortable, great pigment, easy to use. This is a Clinique Black Honey lipstick, which I did not like at all. This seems to be really different on people. Some people say it's neutral, some people say it's warm. On me, it's cool toned. It's a cool toned blackberry shade, which as a spring is not the recommended shade for me. So I didn't like it from a shade point of view. Also didn't like how it clung to any little bit of dryness on my lips. Even when it felt like my lips weren't dry, this would cling to some dryness. Also, this doesn't last long. You have to apply a lot of it to get your pigment, which is good in a way because you can really control the amount of pigment. But where it's a lip balm, it doesn't last very long, so you do have to apply it fairly regularly throughout the day. But that made it easy to use up because I didn't really like it. And then the last 2 products are both by Hourglass. These are the glossy lip balms, which I personally really love. I know there are some people who say that these are overpriced, you don't get a lot of product and you can find alternatives elsewhere. Yes, they are overpriced for what they are. Yes, you don't get a lot of product, but I personally really love them. I love the formulation. You get a good amount of pigment and gloss. You don't get too much pigment and not enough gloss, or too much gloss and not enough pigment. For me, it's the perfect balance. You twist up the product, but don't twist up loads because you can't twist it back down. That is a flaw, unfortunately. But I really love these. When I own these are my go-to lip products because they're so comfortable. They give me hydration from a gloss, but a pigment from a lipstick. And I just think they're beautiful. I had the shades Craven Haze, which I don't think I would buy again because I think they are too kind of muted pink for me. I do have Lucid, which is a coral, and that's much better for me. So I love these. I think they're brilliant. So those are all 45 of my Makeup Empties, all the makeup items that I finished off in 2024 and my thoughts about them. So I'm really pleased with that number, and also I'm pretty happy that it's a nearly 50-50 split between makeup that I finished off as part of my project pan and not my project pan. So pretty pleased with those Makeup Empties this year. Please let me know how many you finished off as well. Do you track your empties? Are you going to be tracking your empties this year? Are you keeping tabs on your inventory? As always, let me know. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked it, and I will see you again very soon for my next one. Bye.